Welcome to Transparency with Dr. C, the podcast where leadership gets real. I'm Dr. Brittany Castongway, and I don't like to sugarcoat things. So we're going to explore what it truly means to, lead with courage, connect, and be vulnerable. Because real leadership, it's not about having the answers, it's about showing up, owning your story, and leading from the heart. So if you're ready to grow, stretch, and be authentic, you're in the right spot.
I'm Dr. C, and I just want to thank you for taking the time to start this adventure with me. This is my baby, and it's a baby that's going to grow and evolve and probably do some refining. Feedback is welcome, and constructive feedback is even better. But just remember that I'm here with you. And when I'm here on this screen, I am being transparent and honest with you. And that's the purpose of this podcast, right? Is to have a real human being expressing true thoughts about leadership and management in today's very complex world. So, welcome to episode 1.
I kind of want to define vulnerability because I think that's going to be really important for all of my listeners to understand as we go throughout this journey together. Vulnerability often has a very negative connotation because we think of it as something that is a weakness, something that you can exploit, take advantage of, something that makes us less than what we should be perceived as. And I challenge you to change that narrative and look at vulnerability as a way to strengthen relationships, to connect with your fellow human, and to become a better version of yourself. Vulnerability is something that helps us grow, recognizes, things that we do well and things that we do not so well, and how we can pivot from there and create relationships that can just really, astound us and are the reason that we're here on earth is to become better versions of ourselves and to help others become better versions of themselves. And so if what I said is jiving with you, it's like hitting, or maybe you're just not really sure if you're buying into this, I challenge you just to have an open mind and perspective to listen to the things that I'm going to tell you. As we go through this podcast, I challenge you to remember that people are multifaceted. What you see is not 100% of them. We as humans are very complex, and what we say and what we present is not always the truth. And it's not always an accurate representation of who we are, right? And so think about it this way. I'm Brittany, the very basis of who I am. Born Brittany. Name my parents gave me as a very late 80s baby who grew up in the 90s. Very cool, very generic, right? Brittany is my name. It's not my personality. It's not really anything besides like how you call me. I'm also an Air Force veteran. I own Strategic Human Resources and Innovations, which is called SHRI. I have a PhD in Global Leadership and Change. Cool. I got some cool accolades, right? Military vet, business owner, she's smart. Cool. What does that mean? How does that make me credible to have a podcast? I'm messy. That's why I get to have a podcast on leadership and transparency. Because people need to know that it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to show the different facets of yourself. And not all those facets are pretty. It's not like a diamond. We don't all shine. Sometimes they're a little dirty. Sometimes they're cracked. And sometimes they might be missing a piece. That's what makes us human. So, in addition to those accolades that I've mentioned, I am a wonderful mom to 6 little human beings, all the way from infant to adulthood. Um, I have 6 because we live in a blended family, and I birthed 4 of those 6 human beings. I love being a bonus mom. I love being a mom. I do. You could take my brains, you could take my work ethic, my motivation. But being a mom, I love it. And here's the kicker: I never wanted to be a mom. Kids were yuck. And it wasn't until I graduated high school pregnant, married my high school sweetheart 24 hours later after graduating high school, 6 months pregnant, and then a few months later holding a baby boy in my arms at 18 years old, that I knew and understood what unconditional love was. And that's when I realized that being a mom is one of the greatest things I've ever gotten to do. And I've got to do some pretty cool things. So, we are all messy. And it's okay to be messy. People don't become great without adversity. And people don't reach their full potential without going through trials and tribulations. You don't grow in a plateau. You grow when you're challenged, and you have no choice but to move beyond your circumstances. So, those are little snippets of Brittany. And that's not all my facets. There's a lot more. I love a lot of things. I dislike some things. And there's things in my past that I'm not proud of. And things that happened to me that I wish I could change. So I'm messy. But that's my vulnerability, is I get to share that with you. And I'm okay with that. It didn't get like that overnight. I really had to work on trauma, gain confidence. I had to learn how to love myself. And the journey into my own authenticity is what has allowed me to embrace my vulnerability, to see my story and my background and my facets as a strength. And that is what allows me to be transparent with you. So let's break this down and how that applies to leadership, right? First thing off the bat, you do not have to be in a management position to be a leader. There are a lot of managers out there who are not leaders. And there are a lot of individuals in a non-supervisory role that are leaders. People don't follow you because of the title, because of your positional authority, because of your accolades, the letters behind your name, the numbers in your bank account. None of that. People follow you because of who you are as a person and how you treat them. Everybody, regardless of their background, wants to be seen, valued, and heard. Those 3 things. If nothing else, they want to be seen, valued, and heard. And if you can do that for an individual, to them, you may be a leader. And that's the point, is that when we take off all of this weight of what society says we have to be and how we have to do it, and we embrace that vulnerability that exposes us to other people, showcases our messiness, our authenticity, our rawness, the things that make us human, that is when we can truly be a leader to others. And I don't know if you've made the connection yet. Everything that I just said is going to play into empathy, which is going to play into emotional intelligence. And those will be other topics that we are going to cover at other, episodes throughout this podcast. So I don't want you to go walk away from this episode thinking that she just talked about being messy. I ain't talking about airing your dirty laundry, right? I'm talking about embracing the things that make us who we are, right? Vulnerability is something that when we fully accept it, we get rid of shame. We can be our true version of ourselves. And we can allow others a safe place to grow and express themselves. That's what transparency is in leadership. Giving personnel around you a safe space so that they can be seen, valued, and heard. And we get to that point where people feel seen, valued, and heard when we're vulnerable. If you are someone who always calculates risk mitigation, how to reduce risks, leadership might not be for you. Leadership is about risk. It is accepting that people will always need to come first. If you don't have people, you don't have an operation, you don't have a business, you don't have products. You have to have people to get the job done. So, I'm going to say this again. If you cannot embrace yourself to be vulnerable for those in your charge, you are not a leader, you are a manager. Because you are not giving your employees a safe space to feel seen, valued, and heard. They're not going to come to you. They're not going to trust you. They're going to show up, do what is assigned to them, and that is it. You won't know about the hardship in their lives. You might not know about the great things that are going on in their lives. You might be the reason why they are at work scrolling Indeed right now. Because you are not a leader. Leaders understand that there's risk associated with that position. So, you gotta learn how to be vulnerable. If you can't begin to embrace the things that make you an individual, you might need to get out of that managerial position you're in. Because it might not be for you. And that's fine. We have tons and tons of great people in this world that are not leadership material. Make way for those who have leadership material, capabilities, the work ethic to want to become better versions of themselves to help those beneath them rise up, to grow and excel and learn and develop, and all that inspirational stuff. That's what those people are there for. That's leadership. Helping others become better versions of themselves by seeing things in them that they don't already see. But you can't do that if you're too busy focused on risk mitigation. Stop calculating the risk. Look at the individual on your team barely holding it together. Look at the individual on your team that has something going on, good or bad. The person who's normally quiet, that's talking. And the person who's normally talking and never in their seat doing work. Where are they today? What's going on with them? How well do you know the people that you're leading? If you can't give an honest answer right now in your own head where nobody can judge you, you might not be vulnerable enough to be a leader. At least not right now, not at this point in your life. It's not to say that it can't happen. It absolutely can. You might have to learn how to be vulnerable. And that's really where we're getting at in this podcast when we talk about transparency. How do you accept the things that make you different and unique? Your facets, the good, the bad, the ugly, the ones you don't even know exist because you've never had the confidence to try. Those are the facets that we want to uncover so you can become a better version of yourself, so you can become the leader that you want to be. That's the purpose of this podcast. That's the real talk. Embracing the things that set us apart and having the confidence to say, yes, I love this about myself. And I can relate with people because these are the things I like. These are the things I don't like. These are my dreams and aspirations and goals. And these are the things that I went through that made me who I am. That's all vulnerability is. One, acknowledging and accepting it internally. And then two, having the courage to speak that out loud. When you can do that, you can do a lot of great things. But you gotta learn how to be transparent first. So if you're trying to figure out what that looks like, how we're going to get there, and the conversations we're going to have, buckle up because it's going to be an intense conversation. And I love those journeys.
Thanks for experiencing this journey with me. And I hope that you got some really valuable tidbits out of this because this journey that we are on, it's expansive, complex, and it's beautiful, especially as we dig deeper into ourselves and find ways that we can add to our toolbox to become better versions of ourselves. So if you enjoyed this podcast, make sure you like, comment, and share. And I hope to see you next time. Bye.